Earth's Last Warning. Step too far and face total annihilation. Part 1. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly stretched for miles. Thousands of species sat in their designated sections, their bodies shaped by 1,000,000 different worlds. Some had scales that shimmered like oil on water. Others floated in tanks filled with gases that would kill a human in seconds. A few existed as pure light, their forms shifting and dancing in patterns that hurt to watch. Ambassador stood at the central platform, looking small among these ancient powers. She was 53 years old, with gray streaks in her black hair and tired lines around her eyes. For 20 years, she had served as Earth's voice in this place. For 20 years, she had smiled and bowed and accepted the insults hidden inside polite words. The delegation from Earth recognizes the Assembly's decision regarding the trade routes, she said, her voice calm and measured. We will adjust our shipping lanes as requested. In the highest seats, Grand Arbiter watched her with 3 of his 7 eyes. His body was tall and thin, covered in purple skin that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. He had led the hegemony of 12 for 300 years, and he remembered when humans were still killing each other with metal swords. The Assembly thanks the human delegation for its cooperation, said. His voice carried no warmth. Earth continues to demonstrate its understanding of proper galactic order. Bowed slightly and stepped back from the platform. She had learned long ago that there was no point in fighting these small battles. Humans had joined the galactic community 200 years ago, and in all that time, they had never been treated as equals. They were too young, too emotional, too fragile. Their lives were too short. What could creatures who lived only 80 years possibly understand about the slow work of civilization? She returned to Earth's section, where her small staff waited. Park Dongwoo sat in the front row, his military uniform crisp and perfect. He was 60 years old, the admiral of Earth's entire defense fleet, and he had not wanted to come to this meeting, but had insisted. She wanted him to see how the galaxy truly viewed humanity. Another successful day of being treated like children, Dongwoo said quietly as she sat beside him. Patience, replied, change takes time. We've been patient for 2 centuries. How much longer? Before she could answer, her communication device vibrated against her wrist. She looked at the screen and felt her heart stop. The message was simple, just 3 words. New attacked. Stood so quickly that her chair fell backward. The sound echoed through the hall and thousands of alien eyes turned toward her. She did not notice. She was already running for the exit, Dongwoo close behind her. The journey back to Earth took 6 hours through the jump gates. In that time, the reports came in piece by piece, each one worse than the last. New was a colony world at the edge of human space, home to 2 million people. It had been founded 80 years ago by Korean settlers who wanted to build something new among the stars. Now it was burning. The Dominion claimed it was an accident. Their fleet had been conducting military exercises near the border, and one of their weapons had malfunctioned. The resulting explosion had struck New's capital city. They offered their deepest regrets. These things happened sometimes. The galaxy was a dangerous place. Watched the footage in silence. She saw the flash of light that had turned a city of 500,000 into glass and ash. She saw the secondary strikes that had hit the farming regions, the industrial centers, the refugee ships trying to escape. She counted the dead. 2 million men, women, and children gone in the space of an afternoon. This was not an accident, Dongwoo said. His voice shook with rage barely contained. They tested us. They wanted to see if we would fight back. We will demand justice through the Assembly, said, though even she did not believe it would work. It did not work. Grand Arbiter listened to Earth's complaint with the patience of someone who had already decided the outcome. He questioned the evidence. He praised the Dominion's long history of peaceful cooperation. He reminded the Assembly that the humans had no proof of intentional attack, only their emotions and their grief. The Assembly finds this matter to be an unfortunate accident, declared. We encourage Earth and the Dominion to resolve their differences through diplomatic channels. This case is closed. Stood alone on the speaking platform. 2 million dead, and the galaxy called it nothing. She looked up at the commander who sat smiling in his section, at the hundreds of species who watched with bored eyes. The Assembly's decision is noted, she said. Her voice did not shake. Earth will remember this moment. She left without another word. On Earth, the news spread like fire. Protests filled the streets of every major city. People wept and shouted and demanded action. The United Planetary Council met in emergency session, and for the first time in 2 centuries, the vote was unanimous. Resolution 7 passed without debate. 3 days later, received a message asking her to come to a facility beneath the mountains of the Korean peninsula. She traveled alone, passing through security checkpoints that scanned her body, her mind, her very thoughts. At the lowest level, she found Dr. Bin waiting for her. Bin was younger than only 42, but her hair was already white from stress and sleepless nights. She led into a vast chamber filled with machines that hummed with terrible power. "What is this?" asked. "This is Project," Bin said. Her voice was quiet, almost ashamed. "We started building it 50 years ago after the border conflicts. We hoped we would never need it." "What does it do?" Bin paused. She looked at with eyes that had seen too much. "It kills stars. One shot and a sun collapses into a black hole. Everything in the system dies. We have 47 of them, Ambassador. 47 stars we can turn off like lights." Felt the blood drain from her face. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you need to understand what we're capable of, and because the Council wants you to deliver a message." "What message?" Bin handed her a small data chip. "One chance. We're giving them one chance to make this right. If they refuse." She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. Took the chip. It felt heavier than anything she had ever held. "They'll refuse. You know they will." "Yes," Bin said, "we know." Stood in that chamber of terrible machines, holding the fate of billions in her hand. She thought of the children who had burned while the galaxy looked away. She thought of 200 years of patience, of bowing, of accepting insults with a smile. "They think we're weak," she said softly. "They think we'll accept this." "Will we?" Bin asked. Did not answer. She walked out of the chamber and began the long journey back to the stars. She had a message to deliver and a war to prevent. Or perhaps to begin. Earth's last warning. Step too far and face total annihilation, Part 2. 3 months passed, and Earth went silent. No diplomatic messages left the solar system. No trade ships crossed the borders. No human voice spoke on any galactic channel. Earth had wrapped itself in silence like a wounded animal hiding in its cave, and the galaxy took this as a sign of submission. Grand Arbiter received reports of the human withdrawal with satisfaction. He had expected anger, perhaps even a few desperate attacks on border stations. Instead, the humans had simply disappeared. They had accepted their place in the natural order of things. "They are learning," he told his council. "Pain is an excellent teacher. In a few generations, they will forget this incident entirely. Their lives are so short that history means nothing to them." Commander of the Dominion was less patient. He stood before the Hegemony's War Council with charts and projections, his 4 arms gesturing at maps of human space. "Now is the time to strike," he argued. "Earth is weak and demoralized. Their fleet is outdated. Their population is concentrated on a handful of worlds. We could take their entire territory in 6 months and add 8 billion workers to our labor pools." "There is no need for war," replied. "The humans will serve us willingly. Give them time." "Time makes them stronger. Every year their population grows. Every year their technology improves. If we wait too long, they may become difficult to control." considered this. He had lived for 800 years, and he had seen many young species rise and fall. Humans were clever, he admitted, perhaps too clever for their own good, but they were also fragile and emotional, easily manipulated by fear and hope. We will wait, he decided, but prepare your fleets. If the humans show any sign of resistance, we will remind them of their place. What did not know was that Earth's silence was not surrender, it was preparation. In the darkness of space, Captain Lee Ho guided his ship through enemy territory. The Silent Hammer was the most advanced stealth vessel ever built, invisible to every scanner and sensor in the known galaxy. Its hull absorbed light and radiation, its engines ran cold and quiet, its crew of 12 had volunteered for a mission they knew might kill them. For 3 months, Ho and ships like his had traveled to 3,000 worlds. They had planted devices no larger than a human thumb in carefully chosen locations near the core of each planet's star. The devices were dormant now, waiting for a signal that might never come. But if it did come, if Earth sent the activation code, those devices would wake up and begin a process that could not be stopped. Ho did not like to think about what would happen then. On Earth, Intelligence Director worked in a room with no windows and no name. Her network of spies and informants stretched across the galaxy, hidden among slave populations and servant classes on 1,000 worlds. For 50 years, she had built this network in secret, knowing that one day Earth might need it. That day had come. She spread her findings before President Min and his council. Every military base, every supply depot, every weakness in the enemy's armor was mapped and catalogued. She knew which species were loyal to the hegemony and which ones dreamed of freedom. She knew which commanders were brilliant and which ones were fools. She knew where to strike and where to hide. "We are ready," she said. "If we must fight, we will not fight blind." President listened with a face like stone. He was 68 years old, a former history professor who had never wanted to lead anything larger than a classroom. But the people had chosen him because he was calm and thoughtful, because he did not make decisions based on anger or pride. Now he carried a weight that no human had ever carried before. The power to destroy civilizations rested in his hands, and every night he lay awake wondering if he was strong enough to use it. "Doctor," he said, "status report on project." Bin stepped forward. She had not slept in weeks, and it showed in her trembling hands and red-rimmed eyes. "All 47 devices are operational and positioned," she said. "Our stealth teams have completed their deployments. We can collapse any targeted star within 17 minutes of activation. The process is irreversible once started. There is no defense against it." "How certain are we that it will work?" "We tested it twice in uninhabited systems. Both times, the star collapsed exactly as predicted. The technology is proven." Nodded slowly, "And the moral implications?" The room fell silent. This was the question no one wanted to answer. If Earth used these weapons, they would kill not just soldiers but entire civilizations. Children who had never heard of humanity, artists and teachers and healers. Billions of innocent lives erased because their leaders had chosen wrong. "We did not start this," said quietly. "They killed 2 million of our people and called it nothing. They us justice. They laughed at our pain. What are we supposed to do except extinction with a smile?" "We are not facing extinction," replied. "Not yet. Only because they haven't decided to finish what they started. How long before they do? A year? 10 years? They see us as insects, Mr. President. You don't negotiate with insects. You step on them." Turn 2, who had been silent throughout the meeting. "Ambassador, you know these people better than anyone. Is there any chance they will accept our terms?" Thought about Grand Arbiter and his 7 cold eyes. She thought about Commander and his hungry smile. She thought about 200 years of contempt and dismissal and quiet cruelty. "No," she said, "they will refuse. They cannot imagine a universe where humans are their equals. It would destroy everything they believe about themselves. Then we must make them imagine it. Nodded, I will deliver the message, but I want everyone in this room to understand something. Once I speak these words, there is no going back. We will be committed to a path that leads either to victory or to the complete destruction of our species. There is no middle ground. Stood and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Somewhere out there, his were playing in a park, laughing and chasing each other without any knowledge of the darkness gathering around them. Send the message, he said. Activated the transmission array. Her image appeared on Grand Arbiter's personal screen, interrupting his evening meal. Grand Arbiter, she said, this is Earth's final communication before we take action. We offer you one chance to avoid what is coming. Withdraw all hostile forces from human space. Return the territories you have claimed. Punish those responsible for the new massacre. You have 72 hours to comply. Stared at her for a long moment, then he began to laugh. You threaten us, he said. You, the insects who cannot even protect your own colonies. This message will be shared with the entire galaxy. Let everyone see how desperate humanity has become. He broadcast her words to every corner of the galaxy, and the laughter spread. Species that had never met a human joined in the mockery. Humanity was finished. Humanity had lost its mind. Humanity was nothing. On Earth, President watched the broadcasts with empty eyes, stood beside him, waiting for his order. They had their chance, he said finally. Begin Phase 1. The machines of Project hummed to life, and the universe held its breath. Earth's last warning. Step too far and face total annihilation, Part 3. The home system was beautiful. Its sun burned bright yellow against the darkness of space, warming 12 inhabited worlds that circled it like children around a mother. 89 billion lived in that system, spread across cities that floated in the clouds and tunnels that bored deep into the rock. They had built their civilization over 15,000 years, and they believed it would last forever. Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human fleet emerge from the jump gate. He counted 30 ships, small and outdated, barely enough to threaten a single orbital station. Is this their answer? He asked, his 4 arms crossing in amusement. 30 ships against the heart of our empire. His officers laughed. One of them began preparing the attack order that would destroy the human fleet in minutes. Wait, said, he wanted to enjoy this moment. He wanted to see the fear in human eyes before he killed them. Open a channel, let them speak before they die. The main screen flickered and Admiral Park Dongwu appeared. He sat in his command chair with perfect stillness, his gray hair neat, his uniform pressed, his face showing nothing. Commander, he said, I am Admiral Park Dongwu of the Earth Defense Fleet. I have been authorized to deliver a message to your people. A message, laughed. You have come to deliver your surrender. No, I have come to deliver a warning. You are in no position to warn anyone, human. Look around you. 4,000 of my ships surround your tiny fleet. Your weapons cannot scratch our shields. Your engines cannot outrun our hunters. You will die here, and your bones will float among the stars as a reminder to any who would challenge the... Dongwu did not react. His eyes remained fixed on, steady and calm. You killed 2 million of our people, he said. You called it an accident. Your assembly us justice. Your leaders laughed at our pain. We asked for peace and you gave us contempt. Because you deserve contempt. You are insects. Your entire species is a mistake of evolution, a brief flicker of noise in a universe that will forget you ever existed. Perhaps, but before we are forgotten, we will teach you something important. And what is that? Dongwu leaned forward slightly. When he spoke again, his voice was broadcast not just to but to every screen, every speaker, every communication device on all 12 worlds. We will teach you the price of cruelty. One of the human ships moved forward from the formation. It was small and unimpressive, no larger than a transport shuttle. It carried no visible weapons, no shields, no armor. It simply drifted toward the yellow sun that had warmed the for 15,000 years. Watched it with confusion. What is this? Some kind of suicide attack? Your single ship cannot harm our sun. You misunderstand, Dongwu said. We are not trying to harm your sun, we are trying to kill it. The small ship launched a single projectile, no larger than a human hand. It fell toward the sun, accelerating faster than any missile had ever seen. In seconds, it vanished into the burning surface of the star. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sun flickered. Across 12 worlds, 89 billion looked up at their sky and saw their sun grow dim. The yellow light turned orange, then red, then a deep and terrible purple. Scientists stared at their instruments in disbelief. Priests fell to their knees and prayed to gods who could not hear them. "What have you done?" whispered. "We have given you a choice," Dongwu replied. "Your sun will collapse into a black hole in approximately 6 hours. Nothing can stop this process. Your worlds will be pulled into the darkness and crushed into nothing." "You're lying, this is impossible." 17 minutes ago it was impossible. Now it is happening. Look at your sun, Commander. Look at it and tell me I am lying. The star was shrinking. Could see it with his own eyes, the great ball of fire that had burned since before his species existed, folding in on itself like a flower closing for the night. Already the temperature on the nearest worlds was dropping. Already the light was fading. "You have 6 hours," Dongwu continued. "Use them to evacuate as many of your people as possible. We will not interfere with your rescue efforts. But understand this, we have 46 more of these weapons. Every hostile power in this galaxy has devices planted in their home systems, waiting for our signal. This is your first and only demonstration of what we are capable of. You would destroy us all, kill billions of innocents. You killed 2 million of our innocents and called it nothing. Now we show you what nothing looks like." The channel closed. The human fleet turned and vanished through the jump gate, leaving them alone with their dying sun. For the next 6 hours, the galaxy watched in silence. Ships fled from the system in every direction, carrying whoever could fit aboard. Families were torn apart as parents pushed children onto transports and stayed behind because there was no more room. Old people who could not move fast enough sat in their homes and watched the darkness grow outside their windows. In the end, 12 million escaped. 89 billion did not. When the sun finally collapsed, it made no sound. Space is silent, after all. But across the galaxy, every species with eyes turned their telescopes toward the system and watched as 12 worlds were pulled into the hungry mouth of a newborn black hole. Mountains and oceans and cities and history, all compressed into a point smaller than a grain of sand. They were gone. A civilization that had stood for 15,000 years had been erased in an afternoon. Ambassador appeared before the Galactic Assembly the next day. The great hall was packed with every species that could reach it, all of them staring at the small human woman who stood at the central platform. No one laughed now. "What you witnessed yesterday was not an act of war," said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were hollow. She had not slept since the destruction began, and she knew she might never sleep peacefully again. It was a demonstration, a lesson, a reminder that actions have consequences. Grand Arbiter rose from his seat. His 7 eyes were wide with something had never seen in them before: fear. "You have committed genocide," he said, "the greatest crime in the history of civilization. We have defended ourselves, you us justice. You laughed at our dead. You made it clear that our lives meant nothing to you. Now you understand that your lives mean something to us. They mean leverage. We will unite against you. Every species in this galaxy will." "Will do what?" interrupted. "Attack Earth. We have 46 more weapons, Arbiter. 46 stars we can turn off at will. Every hostile power in this assembly has devices planted in their home systems. Your worlds are hostages. Your sons are prisoners. If a single ship attacks human space, we will respond. And we will not stop until the aggressor is nothing but dust and memory. The hall fell silent, looked around at the thousands of alien faces, seeing her own reflection in their terrified eyes. She hated what she had become. She hated what humanity had been forced to do, but she would not apologize for survival. "This is Earth's last warning," she said. "Step toward us again and face total annihilation. The choice is yours." She walked out of the hall without looking back. Behind her, the galaxy tried to process what had just happened. The rules had changed. The weak had become strong. The insects had become gods. And no one knew what would happen next. Earth's last warning. Step too far and face total annihilation, Part 4. 6 months after the extinction, Earth was the loneliest place in the galaxy. No alien ship crossed into human space. No diplomatic messages arrived through official channels. No trade delegations requested meetings. The great powers of the galaxy had built an invisible wall around humanity, not out of aggression but out of pure, simple terror. On the colony world of New Geneva, a human merchant named Bei Young tried to sell her cargo of medical supplies to a passing hegemony transport. The alien captain took one look at her ship's registry and fled into jump space so fast that his engines nearly burned out. She returned to port with her cargo unsold and her fuel tanks empty. This was life for humanity now. They had won their safety, but they had lost everything else. President Min sat in his office late at night, staring at reports he could not bring himself to read. Trade was collapsing. Colonies were running low on supplies that Earth could not produce alone. Scientists who had once collaborated with alien researchers now worked in isolation, their experiments stalled, their questions unanswered. And the weight of 89 billion deaths pressed down on him like a mountain. Dr. O Min sat across from him, her tablet recording their conversation. She was a psychologist assigned by the council to monitor his mental state, and she had watched him deteriorate over the past 6 months with growing concern. "You haven't slept in 3 days," she said. "The medical team is worried." "I sleep when I can," replied. "The dreams make it difficult." "What do you dream about?" "Children, children. They're playing in a park, laughing, chasing each other. Then the sky goes dark and they look up and they see their son dying. They don't understand what's happening. They just know they're scared." "You didn't kill those children, Mr. President. The decision was made collectively. The entire council voted. I gave the order, I said the words. Begin phase 1. 3 words and 89 billion people stopped existing." Min set down her tablet. "Do you regret it?" Was silent for a long time. "I regret that it was necessary. I regret that we live in a universe where such choices must be made. But if I could go back, if I could change the past." He shook his head. "They killed 2 million of us and laughed about it. They would have killed us all eventually. I did what I had to do to protect my people." "And now, what do you do now?" "I don't know, that's the worst part. I don't know what comes next." On the other side of Earth, Admiral Park Dongwu handed his resignation to the Defense Council. His hands shook as he placed the document on the table. "I can't do this anymore," he said. "I served my planet. I followed my orders. But I cannot command a fleet that carries the power to end civilizations. Find someone younger, someone who hasn't seen what I've seen." The council accepted his resignation without argument. They understood. Many of them felt the same way. Young diplomat Shin Hae-jun did not understand. He was only 29, too young to remember the border conflicts, too idealistic to accept that diplomacy was dead. He volunteered for a mission to neutral space, hopping to open dialogue with species that might be willing to talk. He spent 3 weeks jumping from system to system, broadcasting messages of peace and cooperation. No one responded. At every port, ships fled at his approach. At every station, doors closed before he could dock. He was a plague carrier, a messenger of death, a reminder of what humanity could do if provoked. On his final day in neutral space, a small transport approached his ship. The pilot was a species known for their trading skills and their neutrality in galactic politics. He-Jun opened a channel, hope rising in his chest. "Please," he said, "I just want to talk. Earth wants peace. We want to rebuild relationships. We know what you want," the replied. His voice was flat without emotion. "And we know what you can do. Go home, human. No one will trade with you. No one will ally with you. No one will even speak to you. You have made yourselves into monsters, and monsters die alone." The channel closed. He-Jun sat in his ship for a long time, tears running down his face. When he finally returned to Earth, he submitted his own resignation and disappeared into a small farming community, never to serve in government again. Dr. Bin did not resign. She could not afford to, because while the galaxy feared humanity, it was also learning from them. "They're building their own weapons," she told the council. Her face was pale, her voice urgent. "The hegemony, the collective, the Dominion remnants, everyone is trying to replicate Project. Our spies report research facilities on dozens of worlds, all working toward the same goal." "How long until they succeed?" asked. "Months, maybe a year at most. Our technology was advanced, but it wasn't magic. They'll figure it out eventually. And then everyone has star killers. Every major power, every alliance, every faction with enough resources. The galaxy becomes a standoff where any conflict could end in mutual extinction." Ambassador received this news in her quarters, where she had spent most of the past 6 months in self-imposed isolation. The weight of her role in the extinction had broken something inside her, some essential belief in the possibility of justice and peace. But this news sparked something else, not hope exactly, but purpose. She requested a secure channel to Grand Arbiter. To her surprise, he accepted. "Ambassador," he said. His voice was different now, stripped of arrogance and contempt. "I did not expect to hear from you. I did not expect to call, but circumstances have changed." "Indeed they have. You have made us all afraid. Is that not what you wanted?" "It was what we needed. But I am beginning to understand that fear alone cannot sustain peace. Eventually, fear fades. And when it does, what replaces it?" Was silent for a moment. Hatred, desperation, the determination to destroy the source of fear before it can destroy you. "Yes, I see the research reports, Arbiter. I know what you're building. In a year, perhaps less, you'll have weapons that can match ours. And then what? Will you attack us? Will you risk the destruction of your remaining worlds for revenge?" "Some of my people would. Some of them dream of nothing else." "And you?" Closed 3 of his 7 eyes, a gesture had learned to recognize as deep thought. "I am 800 years old, Ambassador. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species destroy themselves over pride and fear and hatred. I do not want to watch it happen again." "Then help me find another way." "What way? You have made trust impossible. Every species in this galaxy looks at humanity and sees death incarnate." "Then let us change what they see. Let us give them something other than fear." "What could you possibly give us?" Took a deep breath. The idea had been forming in her mind for weeks, and she knew it would sound like madness. But madness was all they had left. "The weapons," she said. "We'll give you the weapons, all of them. The technology, the designs, the deployment codes, everything." Stared at her. For the first time in 800 years, he was completely speechless. "You would give us the power to destroy you." "We would give everyone the power to destroy everyone. And in doing so, we would make it impossible for anyone to use that power. Mutual destruction as the foundation of peace." "This is insanity." "Perhaps, but it's the only path I can see that doesn't end with all of us dead." She leaned forward, her eyes locked on his. "Will you help me try?" did not answer immediately, but he did not refuse. And in a galaxy built on fear, that small hesitation was the closest thing to hope. Earth's Last Warning. Step Too Far and Face Total Annihilation, Part 5. 1 year after the extinction, representatives from 200 species gathered on a small moon in neutral space. They came in ships of every size and shape, their hulls decorated with the symbols of empires and alliances and independent worlds. They came with fear in their hearts and weapons hidden in their cargo holds. They came because they had no other choice. Ambassador stood at the center of the meeting hall, looking out at faces that had once dismissed her as nothing. Scales and feathers and crystalline structures. Eyes that saw in spectrums humans could not imagine. Bodies that breathed gases that would kill her in seconds. All of them united by one thing: the knowledge that any of them could die at any moment if the wrong word was spoken. "Thank you for coming," she said. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly at her sides. "I know this was not an easy decision. Many of your governments argued against attending. Many of your people believe that humanity cannot be trusted, that we are monsters who destroyed a civilization for revenge." No one disagreed. The silence in the hall was heavy with accusation. "They are right to be afraid," continued. "What we did to them was terrible. It was necessary, but it was terrible. We do not ask you to forgive us. We do not expect you to trust us. We only ask that you listen to what we propose." Grand Arbiter rose from his seat, his 7 eyes fixed on. In the past year he had aged visibly, his purple skin growing pale and thin. The destruction of that had shaken his belief in the natural order of things, in the idea that older species had the right to rule younger ones. "Speak," he said. "We will listen." Nodded. For the past year, every major power in this galaxy has been racing to develop weapons like ours. Star killers, planet crackers, devices that can end civilizations in hours. Our intelligence tells us that at least 7 species have already succeeded. By next year, that number will be 30. By the year after, everyone with the resources will have the ability to destroy everyone else. Murmurs rippled through the hall. Some of the representatives shifted uncomfortably, unwilling to confirm or deny her claims. "This is the future we face," said. "A galaxy where every disagreement, every insult, every trade dispute could escalate into extinction, where the wrong word spoken by the wrong leader could end billions of lives, where no one is safe, ever, because safety has become impossible." "And what do you propose?" asked a crystalline being whose name could not pronounce. "That we trust humanity to protect us. You have proven what you are willing to do." "No, I propose that we trust no one, not even ourselves." Dr. Binge stepped forward, carrying a small device that projected holographic schematics into the air above the assembly. "This is the complete design for project," she said. "Every formula, every component, every line of code. We are offering it freely to every species represented here." The hall erupted. Shouts of confusion and anger echoed off the walls. Several delegations rose to leave, convinced this was some kind of trap. "Please," said, raising her hands, "let me explain." The noise slowly died down. Representatives returned to their seats, watching her with suspicious eyes. "If only one power has these weapons, that power controls everything," said. "They can threaten, they can demand, they can kill without consequence. We know this because we have been that power for the past year, and we have seen what it does to us and to you." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But if everyone has these weapons, no one can use them. The moment anyone launches an attack, they become a target for everyone else. Mutual destruction becomes the only guarantee of peace. Not trust, not friendship, not shared values, just the simple, terrible knowledge that war means death for all." "You would give your enemies the power to destroy you?" asked. "We would give everyone the same power we have, and in doing so, we would make that power useless. A weapon that cannot be used is no weapon at all. It's a chain. a chain that binds us all together in survival. The hall fell silent again, but this time the silence was different. It was the silence of minds working, of calculations being made, of possibilities being weighed. A small figure rose from the back of the hall. It was one of the 12 million survivors of the extinction. His name was, and he had lost his entire family when his died. "I should hate you," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the silence. "Every day I wake up and remember what you took from me, my wife, my children, my parents, my world, everything I loved erased by your weapons." Forced herself to meet his eyes. "I know, and I am sorry. Those words mean nothing, I know, but I am sorry." "You are right. The words mean nothing. But your proposal," he paused, his small body trembling with emotion. "Your proposal means something. If we all have these weapons, no one can do to another what you did to us. No one can kill billions and call it justice. The fear we all feel right now becomes the foundation of our safety." He turned to face the assembly. "I vote yes, not for humanity, not for forgiveness, but for my children who will never exist, and for the children of every species who might be saved by this terrible peace." The vote was held that evening. It passed by a single margin, 101 to 99. The deciding vote came from the last voice of a dead civilization choosing to save the living ones. In the following months, the Extinction Prevention Compact took shape. Every species that signed received the Starkiller technology. Every species that signed agreed to target any power that used the weapons aggressively. The chain was forged, link by link, binding the galaxy together in mutual vulnerability. President Min delivered his final address before retiring from public life. He stood on a platform overlooking the reconstruction of Nu, where 2 million graves lay covered in flowers that bloomed in every color of Earth. "We showed you what we could do," he said, his voice broadcast to every world in human space. "Now we choose what we won't do. This is not mercy. This is not weakness. This is humanity offering you the same terrible burden we carry, the knowledge that we can destroy and the choice not to. May you carry it better than we have." He stepped down from the platform and walked into the crowd, becoming just another old man in a universe that had changed forever. Ambassador did not attend the ceremony. She was somewhere else, on the rebuilt surface of Nu, standing before a memorial that stretched for miles. 2 million names carved in black stone, 2 million lives ended by an accident that was not an accident. She heard footsteps behind her and turned to see a small figure approaching. It was a child, perhaps 6 years old in human terms. One of the orphans from the extinction, adopted by a human family who had lost their own children in the massacre. The child carried a small stone in her four-fingered hand. She walked past without speaking and placed the stone at the base of the memorial. It was a tradition, remembered. Stones for the dead, carried from the place where they fell. Reached into her pocket and found a stone of her own. She had carried it for a year, picked up from the ruins of Nu's capital city on the day she learned of the attack. She placed it beside the child's offering and stood in silence. Neither of them spoke. There was nothing to say. They were two survivors of different extinctions, standing together in a galaxy that might destroy itself tomorrow or might find a way to live for another 1,000,000 years. The sun set over Nu, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Somewhere in the darkness of space, 47 weapons waited in silence, and 93 other species held weapons of their own. The chain held. The peace continued. It was not the future anyone had wanted, but it was the future they had built, link by link, fear by fear, choice by choice. And for now, it was enough.